Hello, welcome to this episode of Frack The Canon. We'll be talking about what is in the works, theory-wise, a live-action Spider-Verse episode. So, CJ, we have the comics. I see you with the comics. Do you want to say something so we can see it?
Hey, what's up, guys? Didn't see you there. As corny as that is. No, that's my freaking hard copy of Spider-Verse. Here's the collection of the OG comic. So what we're talking about? What, that there might be one here?
There might be one. Yeah, there might be a live-action Spider-Verse.
And what would you define as the Spider-Verse? Because I assume this is like a crossover. So I've seen different versions of this. Like there could be a live action version of the movie, or like where all the past people who have played Spider-Man are in the same movie. What exactly are we talking about?
What I read was that it was Andrew Garfield, Tobey Maguire, and Tom Holland as the main three ones. But I'm like, I want to see more. If they would, I want to see the Japanese Spider-Man, like the Spider Demon from Hell, and the '70s Spider-Man from the team. Did you ever see any of you ever see the '70s TV show Spider-Man?
Just snippets of it.
Yeah, me too. But it was very, very. I'm like, that's not swinging at all. Like, what is this? What is this? It was not good. It did not knocking it up, but it just product of its time. I'm gonna leave it at that.
I must say about that Spider-Man is it's good for kids. Like if you have younger kids and you want to like have them have some Spider-Man, it's a little more appropriate than like the movies that they have right now.
That's true. That's very, very true. Even though I thought the Disney one was.
Well, Into the Spider-Verse is good for kids too, but like when my sister's kids were younger, we tried watching like the Spider-Man movies with them, and it was too much. Like,
okay, well, that's something I was like to see about this too, because you and I talk all the time. Is that how many more Spider-Verse are we going to get?
No, I know. And that's the thing. Like, that's where it kind of depends on like hearing more, you know what I mean, about what their plan is. Like right now we don't really know what their plan is. It's like speculation. And like you said, like that's exactly how I feel. Right now I have read a Spider-Verse comic. I've played a Spider-Verse video game. I have seen a Spider-Verse little arc on a cartoon. I have watched a Spider-Verse animated movie. You know what I mean? Like I am at this point, I got a little Spider-Verse fatigue. You know what I mean? Like how many more Spider-Verses can I get? And so in that respect, if they're just gonna do a live action version of that, it's like, you know, I don't have all that much interest in it. Yeah, I actually really love the Spider-Verse story. That's why I own it like that. But there's no way that doing a live action version of Spider-Verse, like they could do it. Sony has all the assets that they need to like actually do a proper comic accurate version of it.
Right.
But there's no way that it's gonna be as epic as the comic was, because there's no history there. You know what I mean? Like the first Spider-Man, I mean, yeah, there's the 70s, show, and there's a bunch of cartoons and stuff. I feel like it would do them a better service to maybe pad out the animated Spider-Verse universe, you know what I mean? Like into what they've already set up with Into the Spider-Verse, has better potential to be as epic as that. Because it's like, the epicness of it is like kind of the same thing that they were pulling on in Crisis on Infinite Earths, the actual
Right.
Arrowverse one, right? The fact that here are all these things, we're playing on your nostalgia. Here are all these things that you remember. Remember the old Flash Remember the old Flash show? Like, we bring this piece back. Hey, remember Batman '89? That character, we're bringing this piece back. Hey, Burt Ward, you haven't seen him in a while. You know what I mean? Oh, here's this from, you know what I mean, from Birds of Prey. Here's this, like, it's that kind of that's what Spider-Verse is. It's that kind of nostalgia, and it plays on that kind of thing. You know what I mean? It's like, oh, here's Spider-Man from Marvel versus Capcom. Here's Spider-Man from the old cartoon. With respect to it being a live action thing, they're just going back, you know, there just isn't that much like geek material. You know what I mean? There's Tobey Maguire, and then there's Andrew Garfield, and then there's this current guy. Why am I forgetting his name?
Tom Holland.
Tom Holland.
The
Yeah.
one true Spider-Man. No, he's not.
Right. You know what I mean? But there's not enough a lot of material to fall back on. I mean, frankly, like most of that stuff, I feel like is more from the animated series, and
Right.
that would be something that I would be more excited, for.
I have a suggestion. I have something just came to mind when you were talking. I'm like, okay, cool. What if, actually, as you were talking, I'm like, what if they go and they bet on the Broomstick it or Roger Rabbit with Space Jam, where they bring in the live action with animated characters? Would anyone be interested in watching that, seeing that? I kind of want to see that now, a little bit.
For
Sarah?
me though, it's the problem with doing this, with like bringing back the people that played Spider-Man, is like it's like something I want to see as a fan. Like
Uh-huh.
I think it'd be fun to be like, oh my gosh, like they're all together, like this is fun. And then like 5 minutes later, I'm like, okay, this has no plot, no story. It's like something I want to happen, but I don't know how they can execute it and have it be satisfying. Like, it's like a nerd dream. Like, but like in reality, it's not something that is actually going to be good. So that's where I kind of like I'm hesitant to be like, I really want this, because it's, yeah, I said I don't know how they could do it and make it good. Though I do like the Roger Rabbit idea, because the actor who plays Miles Morales said that he cannot be in like play Miles Morales in a live action because he's like 25.
I think he's old. I think he's our age.
Yeah, but
Well,
he's
yeah,
like,
but-
it'd be weird for him to show up and be like, "Hi, I'm Miles Morales." It's like some
No, you're not.
like adults, yeah. And there's also they are making Into the Spider-Verse too, like a sequel to the movie.
Right.
So it's kind of like, how much do we really need before we kind of get tired of it, like going through a phase,
But it's so going back to what CJ said, Spider-Verse fatigue. I myself, we were talking about this too. I'm like, dude, the first Spider-Verse that I ever saw was the 90s Spider-Verse, the animated one, because he met the actor who played him. He met with different dimensions, different times. I'm like, wait, that's why I'm like, all right, a live action Spider-Verse, yeah. And as you said, Sarah, it was like, yeah, that's cool. But then I'm like, all right, story. What's the story? Why are they coming in together? Unless they bring in, so CJ and I usually when we nerd out, we just kind of when we plan our ideas or whatever, like, all right, what if? Why is this happening? What do we? Let's do it right now. Why do they need all three live action Spider-Men? If this would happen, Sarah, what would you? You're the writer, producer, director. What would you do?
Well, you need an epic bad guy, like someone who can really like that unites them and crosses dimensions. So I don't really know who that would be, unless like suddenly all the vultures of the different dimensions got together and plotted or something. Like I just don't know who has that kind of reach in Spider-Man's universe. Like they need a Thanos, like someone that's bigger. Well, I mean, not as big as Thanos, but like someone on like that's larger than life. I feel like to have so many people take on one villain, he needs to be a really strong villain.
CJ, thoughts?
René, you give your thoughts and then catch me.
It's good for he's thinking.
No, it's just I know that I'm gonna blab. So
okay. So I've been thinking, go to source material. Why don't you just use the source material? In the comics, there is a breach within the dimensions, and whatever villain finds it, has been going back and forth, and he's been going around, and both Spider-Men are tracking these villains. They're counterparts to that villain, and that's what they mean. That's what they did in Spider-Man. When Miles Morales met Peter Parker. Have any of you read that?
Yeah, I've read Spider-Man.
Have you read that, Sarah?
No.
Another comic book to let you once for free. Batman Hush and Spider-Man. And so that's what brought them into the meeting. So I would think something like that, something that was interdimensional, something that was crossing. And in the comics, it was Ultimate Electro who was crossing to 616 and the Ultimate Universe. I'm like, all right, something akin to that, something about where it would need to bring them all together. But it would be, I think it would probably be, if I were to do it, I think I would make it be Green Goblin just because I love that character. Even though I have no idea how I would have him do it, I just love Defoe's Green Goblin. I was like, bring back Defoe. That's how I would probably have some scientists like villain, which probably would be Defoe, Green Goblin Defoe, fighting some sort of interdimensional time loop break. This is very comic booky, very Star Trekky. That's what I would start off with right now, and just what I would do. All right, so CJ.
All right, I'll I'll say a couple of things. First off, I think like Into the Spider-Verse did sort of a proper thing in that they kind of had like this hodgepodge of villains, because that's one thing that like a lot of these like iterations I've seen of Spider-Verse, like they have all the different Spider-Man, they got that right, but you don't see all the different versions of their iconic villains, and that's another thing I want to see, you know what I mean? Because Spider-Man has like really cool villains, you know what I mean? And that was one of the coolest things about well, I say I played the video game version of this. Shattered Dimensions actually predates Spider-Verse, but I count it because it was also written by the same guy who wrote Spider-Verse. So
Was it Dale Soft, really?
Yep, he wrote the video game Spider-Man Shattered Dimensions, which basically he stole the idea that he wrote and put it in the Spider-Verse a couple years later. Yeah, like he made the same thing. But I would, if I were doing it, I would want to do something like that, something that pays homage to that. Like, let's see these other versions of these villains, because these villains are in their own way as iconic as Spider-Man. And that's something that I feel like the original Spider-Verse comic book even lacks too. Saying, you know, you do get to see other villains here and there, but I do feel like the original Spider-Verse kind of lacks that pizzazz too. Like, hey, here's all these other colorful versions of Spider-Man's villains too. You know what I mean? Like, but to that point, seeing all these different versions of Spider-Verse, the one I haven't seen, they have not done, is just the Spider-Verse story. They have not, no one has done all these 5 different versions of Spider-Verses that we've seen. Not one of them has actually used the Spider-Verse comic as a base for their story. And in that story, it's like there's a villain that it's a lesser Spider-Man villain known as Morlun or Morlun. I don't really know how to pronounce it. Okay. But he's basically like sort of like a life force, kind of a vampire sort of a thing. But it's like he's destined. His kind is destined to seek out like the spiders of different universes. It's like him and his family, they're basically going across different multiverses, killing and absorbing all of the Spider-Man, you know what I mean? Like and so it's like, and so some Spider-Men get wind of it and like start to build like a resistance, a spider resistance, like across multiverses, to battle, you know, to assemble the spider army to battle like this creature, these Morlun or whatever, this sort of vampiric force or whatever, and they only get stronger the more Spider-Man that they've killed, you know, which is an interesting story. It's a different story. It's like sort of here's a bunch of Spider-Man and like a big battle potential story, you know what I mean? Like, but it's interesting that they haven't gone. It's darker too, you know, than I guess other stories. So that's probably why. But yeah, but I would, if it were me, I would just go that route. I'd be like, hey, they haven't done that. I just do the source material. Why not?
That would be, you know, that would be kind of cool because we haven't seen that. Like it was, yeah, that would be a lot. That would be more. You know what? Frack it. Let's go with that. I don't know. Let's go with TJ's. No.
But what if one of the Spider-Man was evil? Like, what if the threat was internal? Like, he's bringing them all together so he can be the only Spider-Man, and it's his secret plan to kill all of them. So he's the only one.
Well, first of all, that is the plot to the movie The One, starring Jet Li. And secondly, I don't hate that idea because I love that movie as well.
I have never seen The One. I think it's like, I'm like, well, that's pretty cool. I didn't then see it. Yeah. That's pretty funny. I don't like it. I like the idea too. Frank, my ideas. Let's like do one of yours instead. All right. I just wanted to do a little get together, just a little snapshot of why. Go ahead.
Well, I do have something else to say on the subject though. So what I was saying before, I wouldn't really be interested in seeing just a live action version of that. What I might be interested though is Spider-Verse has the potential to be pretty epic. It has the potential to kind of like stretch out and they can flesh it out a bit. If instead of just doing a live action version of Spider-Verse, if they just kind of like started like putting like little pieces of a universe like together and kind of slowly revealed like, hey, this is all part of the same multiverse. You know what I mean? So instead of like replacing their animated Spider-Verse with this Spider-Verse, maybe it's just all interconnected. It's all just part of the Spider-Verse. You know what I mean? Like, and if they did something like that and they kind of united those together in a way, like, I could be down for that. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know if you remember, like at the end of Venom, I mean, it was just something to plug into the Spider-Verse. But it says, meanwhile, in another universe, and it's like, and you get the preview to Into the Spider-Verse. You know what I mean? Like,
That's
so it's
right.
like
Yeah.
they could like do something like that where they just kind of put out these movies and shows, and they're like later on, like 5 years later, they're like, hey, by the way, we're just gonna kind of pull these all together, and like now they're in the same crossover story right now. Like, you know what I mean? That could be pretty cool.
So like now that you say that, what if it was a Madam Web, like she was interdimensional connective tissue to do all the different like a version of cinematic version of Madam Web. Where was he Madam Web in the movie?
Nah, not in the movie.
Not even in Spider-Verse? No. That's my 2 cents. Madam Web into this in the cinematic. That's all I got.
Could be cool. I mean, you know, she's just random Oracle type character. You know?
Fun fact: she was with Stanley's wife in the nice cartoon. I might edit that out. All right, we got 9 minutes. Anything you guys want to talk about about the verse of spiders?
All right, well, let's shift gears. Hey, freaking, you heard that the Russos are going to be on, what, Hercules?
Ah, yes, I did. What the frick?
Wait, they're redoing Hercules?
Yeah, the Disney.
Oh, the remake. Okay.
So, as CJ knows, I don't know if you know, sir, I'm a big fan of Greek mythology. I read those little kids when I read those books. I probably have been not been speaking well when we do these for some reason. I'm a big fan of the Greek mythologies. I read the book when I was a little kid, like 10, 11, 12. And I'm like, oh my God, because I really love that movie. But they got some stuff wrong. I was telling CJ, all right, as much as I love that movie, I don't know if I want to see it remade to live action. And if they only do remake it, I want them to explore the other mythologies, the other stories, the other journeys that he did, and not just rethread the cartoon. That's what I would like to see.
I hope they keep the songs. Like, I know, like I haven't seen Mulan yet, obviously, because no one can see it. But like I feel like I haven't seen it, but they took parts that I really liked out of it. Like, there's no singing, I don't think, and
I don't think, yeah.
Her dragon, Mushu, is supposedly gone.
Yes.
So I hope they don't do that to Hercules. Like, I hope they keep the songs and like the fun parts of it, because I don't know if it would be the same movie.
See, because I was said this about this. I'm like, I don't know if they want to do the version I want to do, because in the original stories, like, Hercules is a demigod. His mom is immortal, because he knows Zeus like to come down to Earth and just mess around with the humans, like to frack with the ladies, and produce multiple offsprings. And in the comic book, and in the cartoon version, he's not that. He is a son of Hera and Zeus, and Hera and their happy family and all that stuff. I'm like, no, dude. Like, in the original stories, Hera found out Zeus was messing around. She sends the snakes to kill Hercules, and then she makes him go mad and kills his wife. I'm like, they're not gonna do that in the Disney story at all. But
yeah, they can't do that for Disney.
Exactly. So I'm like, I'm not gonna get that. So I'm like, all right, cool. As much as I would love that, I'm never gonna get that. But I want to see them do at least his other journeys, not just the story of that. I don't want to. Here's the one thing I don't like about the Disney live action movies. It's almost a shot-for-shot remake of the animated. Did you see Aladdin? Any of you?
No.
I did, because I'm like, all right, go ahead, CJ.
No. Continue. No.
I saw it, and I'm like, I felt weird. I felt conflicted, because it's like, I love that movie. I love those songs. But I saw it already in animated form. So like, I'm like, I don't know how to react to this.
I mean, well, here's my rebuttal to that. Always is that, like, is that like on the some level, like I feel you on that, definitely. Like, yes, I've seen this before. Like, what is the point of you remaking this? But on the other level, it's like I'm the opposite way, because like Lion King and Aladdin are like two of my favorite Disney movies.
Mhm.
So on this, there's this level on which I like those movies. So no matter which way you present it to me, I'm gonna like it on some level. Like on some level, I'm gonna be annoyed that I'm just watching a rehashment of this thing. But on the other level, it's like I like this story. You know what I mean? Like, so I'm gonna like it
That's what my conflict comes in.
regardless. You
That's what my
know?
conflict is because I like the story, I like the songs, but and that's again, like I was saying, that's my conflict. I'm annoyed I'm watching this live action. Sarah, your thoughts? What do you think? You're thinking
Well,
about thoughts?
I just think I'm torn because well, again, they aren't making the remakes for us. Like, I have my
All right,
fond
true.
memories of the originals. They were something I watched in my childhood, and that's for me. But if I'm a kid growing up now, that's an old movie. Like, it's the audience is new kids that are seeing it now, that are more used to maybe like a CGI'd instead of our old animation style that we're used to. And I'm on board with having like a new audience, a new like younger audience, like the stories that we liked.
Mhm.
Just because it's something new to them, even though it's like something that we're like, oh yeah, we like the older version better.
Very much so, yeah. That's true. This is true. But going back to the original question, I am conflicted on Russo's film doing Hercules. Only if they bring the community cast in with them. That's all I want to see. The community cast doing Hercules. I want Yvette Nicole Smith as Hera. Who do I want? Chevy Chase as Zeus. That was not going to go well. Who would you got? Who would you cast? All right, if we are just podcasting Community, if you were to cast someone from Community to be Hercules, who would it be?
I mean, I don't really watch Community.
Well, I have a recommendation for you on Netflix, good sir. I highly recommend it. What about you, sir? Who would you recommend? Who would you cast? Did you watch Community?
I did watch Community. I don't know. That's a hard question.
I think I would go with Jeff. What's his name? Joel McHale or Donald Glover.
Donald Glover, I think, would be a more fun choice.
That's true, because he was Simba in the live action
Mm-hmm.
Lion King. But yeah, that's all I got. We got a couple of minutes. We got 3 minutes. Anything else before we back off this moment?
Binge recommendations.
Binge recommendations. All right, what do you got, CJ? You start.
Me start. Let's see. Crap, I had something, but I forgot what it was.
All right, fine. I'll go. I've been watching The Last Dance, the history of the Chicago Bulls last season. And it is it goes back and forth between how Jordan started in the NBA, actually, his college career to the final years in the NBA. And I like it because it's so raw. It's not the things they show about Jordan himself is not very flattering, but he was like, it's there. Yeah, so I would recommend Last Dance. I'm not the biggest I'm not a big sports guy, but it's an interesting story. That's my recommendation.
All right, I remember now. Okay, so I was binge watching this anime. It is called Food Wars. It's not like super new or anything, but I don't know. It's ridiculous. It's basically like if they made an anime version of like what Master Chef is, like because it's like I don't know, like it's like a guy, but it's a high school. Like it's like a Master Chef like high school kind of. It's this prodigious high school, and like it's like really cutthroat, and like if you get like into a dispute, then like you can like food battle. If you get into a food war with somebody, and that's like how you sort of that's how you like solve your disputes. You know, you got judges and they like judge your food, and like it's like watching like Master Chef. Like it really is like, but just like animated and like freaking and like and like he goes to school with all these like stuck up, you know, 20 kids and stuff. And like there's the cast of characters is amazing. There's villains, you know what I mean, and like they're just out to be the best cook, you know what I mean, in the school, top cook in the school or whatever. But it's a good time. It's a crazy good time.
All right, Sarah, what do you got? Food and water?
I've been watching Good Omens on Amazon, and I've been really liking it. I read the book like forever ago, and so my knowledge of the book is really faded. So I'm not really comparing it to the book, which I think might be a good thing. But it's been very fun. It's been hilarious, and I
I
like
was sitting. Oh, sorry.
what.
I was house sitting for a friend, and she had that was on Prime, and I was watching it. I'm like, this is really not bad. I like this. I like it.
Mhm.
I liked it. Like the only thing I liked it. CJ, so I know CJ.
I didn't finish. I didn't finish it. I started it a while ago, but I stopped. Fell off.
I finished it. I thought it was pretty good. See, is it only a one? Yeah, it's the one shot, right? Because it's the book, right? That's it.
I haven't seen the final episode yet, so I've seen everything except for the final episode.
Oh.
And I don't know if they're gonna keep going. It seems like the story's gonna end in the next episode that I'm about to watch, but
I think it doesn't. I'm
yeah.
pretty sure it's, but I liked it. Oh, sorry guys.
Duty calls, huh?
Duty calls, like for realsies. Twosies. All right. That's all I got. Well, thank you, Sarah. Thank you, CJ, for joining us. We'll see you next fracking time. Same fracking channel. Frack off.